Welcome to Dance Unscripted. I am your host, Amy Elizabeth. Today, I am joined by Vannia Ibarguen. Vannia is a dance artist, educator, and community organizer whose work bridges movement, technology, and social change. She holds an MFA in dance from the University of Maryland and a degree in systems engineering. As the artistic director of Vannia Ibarguen Dance Arts and Global Water Dances, Vanya's work expands beyond the studio as an arts fellow, journalist, communications manager, and advocate for greater visibility of the arts in public life. Our conversation today will discuss how socially engaged dance, rooted in place, people, and purpose, can help us reimagine the recovery, advocacy, and creative leadership and what that looks like in today's world. Vannia, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you for the invitation. Glad to be here.
Yes. So first, may we please discuss the connections between dance and systems engineering? How do you combine these two seemingly different ideas into your work?
Yes. Well, I feel like I was always a dancer, but when I went to college, this is back in Peru. I'm from Peru. I studied systems engineering, and because usually by that time, especially dance wasn't looked as a profession or something that you will achieve. Maybe it was more like for people like it was wealthy and they cannot, like it was seen differently by that time, especially. And so I studied that as my bachelor degree. And then when I came to United States, I studied master's in dance because that was my passion and that was where I really wanted to do. Although also with the experience that I had as a IT consultant, I worked for 6 years before having my MFA, and I was dancing at the same time. I decided to blend those, my passion and also the knowledge of technology. So my thesis actually was about how to stay connected through the distance. So I was using a little bit of that knowledge about both system theory for my concert. Like there are different theories about divide and conquer, and and you use the how to do composition in dance, and I was using that also as a way to do my thesis concert for my MFA. And I use technology, I use video, I use telematics for that. But in my mind, always it wasn't like using technology just because using technology. And I know that many people do that, like more like research and what, that could be. But in my case, it was mostly for communication and how to enhance the experience, the personal experience through technology. And yes, and that's how I started doing that. And until now, I feel like all the experiences that we have help us to enhance the experience that we have right now. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Technology and the connection with technology for presentation, for communication, for connection, it feels like that's the direction that a huge section of the dance industry is really going and investigating that. And I'm just really fascinated when people can take something that doesn't seem as if it connects to dance and show how it's all related to dance. It's all related to this idea of connection, communication, community. It's really beautiful. So you describe your work as spanning choreography, pedagogy, and community organizing, focusing on dance as a civic tool that fosters environmental and social awareness while cultivating healing and connection. That seems multi-layered. It's an understatement. So can we begin to unpack this vast span of your work? How did you get to this place?
Yeah, I feel as that description is about the different experience that I had
Yeah.
during yes. So I was telling you about my thesis concert where I
Hmm.
was blending, body movement, performance, and then when I finished my MFA, I went back to Peru and um, I was doing. I feel like I wanted to do more work about environmental issues, about how talking about technology, but at the same time about humanity, about how we can find a balance, or we can find a way um, to really think about our world and nature, and a healthy relationship with our world. And that's how I also discovered the global water dances by the time when I was in Peru. So one of my mentors told me about the project that they were trying to do about putting together different people who were thinking about um, working actually in dance, but also with an environmental focus.
Hmm.
And I was very excited about doing that. So, um, and that's how I started doing more about the community engagement, about and little by little, I started to be more uh, more acquainted also about how to do that. And I was part of the steering committee, and then that's how I became later on the artistic director. And yeah, so just to tell you a little bit about
Yeah.
how I started doing that. Yeah.
So, how does dance, or what does dance as a civic tool mean? What does that look like for you to use dance in that way?
Hmm. Yes. For me, I feel like once I connected with this project called the Global Water Dances, and also when I was doing my own um, uh, research and choreography about uh, how to use dance not only for entertainment, but also to make people think a little bit about what is going on. Because sometimes
Hmm.
when people receive the message, verbally, sometimes, like somebody is talking about it, that it's a great research presentation, until it's not done in a different way, like almost subliminal, or like through the body. And then that's what I love to do. Like sometimes in my choreography, I I like to maybe engage with people with something that is funny or beautiful, and then there's a little message over there. Right? There's a little something going on. So for people maybe to think it's not on your face, but it's just to people to think about their own, their own relationship with others, and also with the world, with nature. So I feel like that's one part of dance as a civic tool, and the other part is I was telling you when I discovered global water dances, and also doing more site specific work. I feel like I'm not labeling as site specific, but actually dancing outdoors in public spaces. I feel like dancing in public spaces is something per se very yeah, it's like activism, right? It's like seeing bodies in a space where it's not supposed to be for dance. It's itself revolutionary. So that makes the audience feel and differently about the space, and trying to find a relationship between the movement, the dances, and what the message is. Our brains always try to make sense about things. So
Hmm.
in that way, that could be done. That could be done in a as a dance as a civic tool. Dance, how we can
Yeah.
um, almost teach people about stuff.
Yes, and you had mentioned that this fosters an environmental and social awareness. and that this awareness can then cultivate healing and connection. So can you speak a little bit more about the audience and what you hope the audience gets out through that idea of healing and connection?
Yeah. Um, so what I love to do also when I'm choreographing a dance is not only for the for audiences to be passive audience. So I
Hmm.
like to involve them in also a sort of movement, some of kinesthetic experience. So eh, in the case of global water dances, and also specifically talking about that, I know that we're going to talk more about it, but we have a section that is the participatory dance. So after experience the dance, and watching, and we allow the audience to, we teach them four very basic movements, and that reflects the cycle of water. And the idea is for them to move in whatever way, but following those four simple movements, and then they express themselves. I know for some people it's a little more difficult, and we don't pressure them, but it's like at the end everybody does it. It's just a way for them to, to not only be moved by what they say, but also move. So it's both, and I feel like in that way they feel like they are also agents of action, and they can actually do something about it. So there's a relationship that is more than just the brain and
Hmm.
the eyes.
Hmm.
It's just, it's a whole experience. Yeah.
Yeah. So not just understanding it intellectually, but also viscerally and
Mhm.
feeling it in their body. And you mentioned that some of them are resistant to it, and that was going to be my next
Mhm.
question: is what is that
Mhm.
experience like? I mean, we're not going to pressure them to do it, but you said in the
Mhm.
end they all join in. So I guess I'm curious as to that process of how you get what here on the podcast we call non-identifying dancers, or non-identifying dancers. These are people who may say things like, "Oh, I have two left feet," or "I don't have any rhythm," or
Mhm.
"I can't do that," or the "Oh no, that's not for me. I'm just the observer." So how what is that experience like to buy into this in this moment?
Mhm. Yeah, we use well, first of all, there's always some people that will just, and that's fine. That's perfect. And they enjoy actually watching other people that, oh, and they see themselves like, oh, that person is not really, dancing as the professional dancers, but they see that they're having fun. And that's the thing, that's the healing part. So
Hmm.
when you are actually participating and in this simple movement, um, eh, I say simple. It's actually, you can do it however you want. I will say accessible.
Hmm.
Um, you are able to um, let go of any, judgment. And what we do particularly is to use mirroring. So we invite usually dancers, different dancers in different parts of the world, because this is done in different parts, use different approaches. So one is mirroring, so it's just doing something very simple with the arms, very accessible, and then expecting a response. And then the other person is like a little bit like, okay, yes, I think I can do that too. And then they continue doing, and then it's like, okay, and then evolves, and then it's like little by little kind of luring them. Um, Without, if we feel resistance, obviously it's like, oh,
Hmm.
okay, it's totally fine. That was an invitation, and you are welcome to join the party. But if you just want to observe the invitation, that's fine. So yeah.
So your work is kind of classified as a blend of, or described as a blend of contemporary folk and interdisciplinary forms. And
Mhm.
these address issues like climate change, migration, and social justice. So, can you give an example of one of your works that generated dialogue regarding these ideas: climate change, migration, social justice? um, and maybe even how you combined the dance styles or genres.
Mm. Yes. So I have a work that is called Through the Distance, and where
Mhm.
uh, I use technology, and I use also the idea of how different people that are far away from each other try to stay connected. It talks about migration, a little bit about my experience of going to living in Peru, living in the United States, living in Colombia from a different amount of years. And how I was always trying to stay connected with the people that I love, but at the same time also trying to, mm, yeah, construct or build a new life. So, and you usually use technology, right? We use, like right now, we're in different places. And that work, I did it 15 years ago.
Wow.
So we didn't have Zoom. We have a Skype, I think, or something like that. And I was very curious about how, that could be translated also in dance. I mean, dance is life, life is dance. So
Hmm.
um, we were, and in that case, as I was talking about my experience in Peru, I used a a beautiful composition that was made. I mean, a couple of them from a Peruvian composer, two Peruvian composer, a Peruvian Japanese composer, and another Peruvian composer. And also, I was blending my knowledge in Peruvian folk dance with contemporary dance and ballet because I mean, like I started with ballet as that was my first. Well, my first one was gymnastics, but then after that, I did more ballet, and then I discovered contemporary dance. So, the work itself is a blend of those experiences that went through my body, and then I work with also students from the University of Maryland program, and we made also some. Um, yeah, crazy connections. As I moved to California for a period of time, I was able to record some of the dancers that I was working with here for my thesis. And then when I went back there, I basically introduced them through video, and then they were dancing together there on video.
That's
uh,
incredible.
so yeah, I was like, okay, these are the dancers. And then we did some projections, and it was a really beautiful experience, touching experience too, because some of the dancers also were international students. So I feel like the process itself was very rewarding, but
Hmm.
also once we show it to the audience, they also had a beautiful um, one like feedback, and as many of them were students too, they wrote their let's say the critiques, or for their classes, or and then some of the teachers actually send me those the feedback that the audience had, and it really made them reflect about that migration, and how feeling that sometimes loneliness, sometimes
Hmm.
eagerness to be back in their places, but sometimes also like, okay, no, now I need to continue my life, right? And so that's one work, and that it was I did it again in Peru too. And I had some conversation after the performance to allow the audience to give me some feedback about it. Another work was about a solo that I made about Ima Sumat, who is a Peruvian, well, she passed away, a Peruvian singer, famous in the 60s, 70s, who had the experience of migrating also to the United States. So she was basically, she recreated herself by the time, with all the, um, I don't know, you really needed to transform yourself in order to sell.
Hmm. Yeah.
And and there I kind of sprinkled some of the current migration issues that are happening in United States specifically. So there was a little bit of political, a little bit of also fun stuff, and so the audience response was also I like to do those post talks and see what is the feedback. And then finally, another work that is called Verde Gris Green Gray. That's specifically about how the our world is going towards not like a cycle of renewal, but actually always consuming. So I was in this work. I was trying to say a little bit like it's good to have a balance. So it's good to yes, to still have all the different things that make our lives easier,
Mm-hmm.
but also to take care of nature. So yeah, so that's a whole also story, and we had also many invitations for the people to stay to talk about the work and yeah, doing a little conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. So as a creative artist, this idea of feedback and hearing from the audience,
Hmm.
what are you hoping to get from those conversations? Is it um, validation of the work that you just did? Is it understanding their perspective? Is it like what is
Hmm.
your hope for having these conversations after the works that you present?
Yeah, so I have done it in different ways and not always have that component in the dance, but specifically when I had it, usually it was for um, like if it was an educational institution, that was something that we will, you know, uh, yeah, like I will say in in educational institutions, it is something that is um, like we would like to have so the students can have a little bit of reflection about what they
Mm-hmm.
saw and put that into words. So after watching and having this kinesthetic experience to how that is translated into words. And my hope is that that will also it's like when you have a journal, right? And you have done a lot of things during the day, and then either the evening or in the morning you write down. So when you put it on paper or you reflect into that, it's something that you can digest it better. Um, and sometimes that is done, and the audience, like they go with somebody else and they can talk about it, and then after that they can maybe take action
Mm-hmm.
or just enjoy. So with those conversations, the idea is that people can after that take sort of action or sort of
Mm-hmm.
something. So maybe that will allow them to go and see more dance, or maybe they would like to, depending on what is the theme, to um, yeah, to support different organizations that are uh, yes, maybe uh, it, yeah, fighting for the environment or the so I feel like that's just a space for reflection.
Mm-hmm.
um of course, it's interesting what you say about validation, because artists sometimes we need that in order to continue moving forward. We are rewarded, usually not so much monetary. So, if we want to continue doing our work, we need a little bit of, oh yeah, good job, right? That's yes, that was not the main reason, but yes, you're right.
Yeah. Well, it's that idea of validation and and congratulations, but then also too when you have something that is a specific message, when you have something that you want the audience
Hmm.
to see, understand, and then be able to reflect and take action on, I think sometimes that feedback is an opportunity to hear. did they hear it?
Yes.
Were they able to receive my message? Is there something off about my message? Because I mean, it is up to
Mm-hmm.
interpretation. It may not be
So,
as straightforward as it is written in a pamphlet. There it's you're not showing them
mm-hmm.
statistics and saying exactly these are the actions you should take. And so because we're coming at it from a more abstract way, and because each audience member is bringing in their own ideologies, experiences, backgrounds, and things, like I know for me, sometimes I've missed the mark with an individual or two. And so getting that feedback is like, oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, okay. I need to go back and check that again. But then
Yes.
other times they've shined a new light on the work itself, and oh, I hadn't seen it that way. And so that's
Mm-hmm.
it's another layer of validation and also continued conversation. um
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like most artists do feedback sessions or reflecting sessions, and they want to know, especially if they have a direct message, they want to know, did you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes. So
You're right. That, yeah, yeah, yes.
now I know you've mentioned global water dances, and I do want to talk about that. You're currently the artistic director of Global Water Dances. And so, can you talk to us about the organization, its mission, and kind of how it got started, how the organization came to be?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So Global Water Dances is an organization that orchestrates an event that happens every 2 years to raise awareness about water issues through dance and film. Um, so what we, I mean, our main motto is dance for safe water for everyone everywhere. So especially initially, that was um, the main idea that the creators of Global Water Dances, because I was not part of the first group, they are nonverbal. Uh, I mean, they are certified movement analysts and experts in nonverbal communication, and um, and then they found out that in a conference that they were having about arts and environment, that water is very important. I mean, we always say water is life, right? And they found out by that time, that was 2008, um, that wha- how we as artists, as dancers, can actually put our um, yeah, our part in letting people realize how important is water and why it's important to protect it. Um, so that's how it started, as a simple idea of um, it will be really good if everybody in the world could have water, access to water. And then it kind of grew a little bit more to be more about um, uh, um, obviously water protection, but also other environmental issues that could affect that
Mhm.
access to water. Um, so yeah, people join. This started as an event, as I was saying, every 2 years, but then we started to do more projects around it. We built a curriculum so that they can be used by different educational settings and year round. So it doesn't need to be one single day as we usually do. But as I say, that was the first, like the point of entry, like
Mhm.
to find choreographers, site leaders who would like to develop a dance that is done outdoors by a body of water, um, free of charge, and to invite audiences to join them. Um, and this with this idea of protect your body of water, because this is the water that you get, and you if we don't have safe water. I mean, the word, you know, um, yeah, could collapse. So the idea is to protect water for the future generations. Yeah.
Yes. So global water dances, as you mentioned, it's a site specific, meaning that it's unique to the location and cannot be recreated exactly the same way anywhere else. And you
Mm,
commented that site specific dances serve not only as artistic expression, but also as creative research, educational outreach, and activism. So, can you
mhm,
take a moment to reflect on why the site specific element is most important to this project?
mhm. Yes. So when we contact, or sometimes the choreographers contact us, we explain that there are usually, um, I mean, we divide the work in different sections.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the idea is that they could find a body of water where they would like to develop their dance. Uh, But the thing here is that the two first sections are about creativity, and the other two sections are given by us. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I will explain a little bit about that. So the first two sections, the first section is called the ritual. So we invite them to start with something very small and very intimate to create the sensation of place. So to invite the audience to see this place as something unique. So obviously they are the ones who know more their space, their place, and also the culture. So what a ritual actually means, right? It's different in different locations. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we just call it the opening. So we don't have anything, like that could be taken as something, I don't know, religious or anything. But if you would like to do it in that way because you know your community, that's totally good. And that's part of the healing part too.
Mm-hmm.
So we start with a ritual. That could be a ritual dance or a opening ceremony. Then we have the second section is the local dance. So in the local dance, that's when we give absolute freedom to the choreographers to create their own. If they want site-specific dance, if they want just locally based or something that they maybe could rehearse in the studio and then put it on on the space, which is not necessarily site specific. So we give a little bit of freedom, and those are options. So if the space is actually available for them to develop a whole site specific dance, that's perfect, but we know that sometimes that's not available. So yes, the idea is that this local dance could reflect a little bit about the place, the body of water, the history of the site, and also the cultural elements of their own, you know, city or town locality. So maybe music that is from their own culture, maybe dances that are from there, but also they can do whatever dance they are more inclined to do. So again, we give freedom about that. So but that's a suggestion. And then the other two parts, the other two sections, we call it the global dance, like section 3. um, it's a dance that is done almost in the same way in different locations. So we give a sort of a script. It's called a rhythm motif, where they can follow, and it's usually reflecting about the water, and we create different one for each year, more or less, but it has elements from the first one that we did in 2011. So we carry that legacy from the first choreography, and people love to do it because that's when we unite the local with the global. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, everybody's dancing in the same way in different locations almost at this time. If you're in the same, yeah, more or less the same time. So maybe you're dancing with somebody else in a different location. I didn't tell, but last time we were 130 locations. We have been sometimes 150 locations around the world. And it started with 55 locations in 2011, but it's been growing. And yes, so that's the sense of cohesiveness. Well,
Yeah.
sorry, I don't know. I said something different. Yeah, but cohesion. To feel like you are. Sometimes we as artists, especially, it's something in a niche that is very specific. Environmental activist, or we feel a little bit isolated because there are not so many people doing that, or at least 10 years ago it wasn't. So
Hmm.
that actually makes you feel part of a bigger community and gives you a little bit of, oh yes, you're doing the right thing. you know let's continue doing it. And that's why we hold meetings also for this process. I actually hosted this year that we just had our water dance. I hosted 10 meetings um, because of the different time. I mean, it was five uh, series of meetings to follow them, and also to so they can meet each other, to meet other
Yes.
people that maybe are in different, like somebody from Japan meeting somebody from Brazil and somebody from, I don't know, Ohio. So United States, or so yeah, that's the global dance. And then the fourth section, it's a long explanation, but
That's
the fourth
okay.
section is the participatory dance. And that's what I was telling you about. Once the dancers finishing their performance, they share those movements, the four movements that are about the cycle of water, and they do it by themselves, and they open this to the community, and they invite them to, as mirroring first, and then invite in a circle. They go around. I mean, there is not a specific script, but the idea is that they can actually move through the space, and in that way
Hmm.
they are recognizing the space that they are at, and recognizing themselves as part of a community. And the dancers are not only dancers, but actually also part of the community because they're with them. So, and then it usually ends in a celebration. So it depends on how excited everybody is or how ceremonial everything is. So usually we end up in front of the body of water and with a sense of gratitude, and also giving
Hmm.
this to the other place that is going to take maybe in a different hour or time. It's like a wave that is around the world. So it's like very poetic and also at the same time meaningful. So yeah.
Yes, it really seems that
Yeah.
way.
Mhm.
That's just, it's a little trying to put the pieces together of how this presentation looks like. These things are happening in 55 to 160 different locations all within this time frame. um how is it just presented in that moment, in that time, in that space? Is it recorded and made available for everyone to see? What does that presentation look like if you're not in that particular area?
Mhm. So we have different ways to make that visible, because that was also one of our uh, uh, objectives, goals, or a
Hmm.
part of our mission, to make visible the work of these choreographers. So we do. Last time we did a live stream, and through YouTube. So we were coordinating, and they will, so only for those who have um, the technology or the um, availability, um, or somebody that can do that, we ask them to do the live stream. And this was something that we just did the first time. Before, well, I will back up first. So what we do usually is to ask them to record their performances, if
Hmm.
that is possible. So to have somebody who will record, and then we ask them to send videos so we can do a compilation. We edit it, and then we do a compilation and also individual videos. And then we put it on our website and also on a YouTube channel that we have. Um, and then we have also in our website a map of locations, so you can see who performed where, and also before that, we invite people to find your nearest location so you can go and see it live. But if not, we have on our website a link to our YouTube channel where they could see also the live stream. So some locations were sending the information or the video live. But for those who are not able to do that, they send us the video after. And then we have also our social media that actually has been very active this past years, and people will tag global water dances. And if you enter in our social media and Instagram and Facebook, you're going to see all the people who were sending their videos live, like like right away. So that's part of the technology thing that
Yeah.
we were trying to be very clear and see how other, how that can serve for a bigger purpose. And then, yeah, I think that's, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and then the live stream through Zoom and YouTube. So
Yeah.
different ways.
This is the perfect example of how technology can be used for connection, for healing, for um, removing barriers, creating access, all of these wonderful things. And I know here lately, sometimes the conversations about technology and what is currently happening aren't as positive, and they come across as a little more negative. And I feel like this is just an example of how we can use technology as a tool and a way to really just enhance our life experiences. And I do. I think it's really
Mhm.
beautiful that you're able to take that systems engineering and helped propel the world, on a global scale to find this fantastic community and in a positive way to connect around something that's very meaningful. Um, I will circle back. You had used the word activism. So, what does dance activism look like for you as a dance maker? And or can you give an example of how global water dances has played a role in this global communities for change?
Mhm. Yes, I believe that global water dances gave some validation also to people who were working already in different places and using arts and dance as a form of activism.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just to give some examples, in New York City, in New York, there is a company called Artichoke Dance,
Mm-hmm.
and they have been doing this for years. And they joined us, I think it was in 2013. Um, Lynn Newman, she joins, and by that time, the artistic director was Marilee Hardenberg, who actually brought the idea of doing the different sections based on the work that she did before with the River Mississippi. So she
Mm-hmm.
had different, the River Mississippi goes all along North America. So she connected different cities that were there, and she did this four section. So I just want to also to give credit to that. It wasn't all my idea, but I really love that, and I yes, we through the years we were given more we were more finesse, um, all that beautiful work. I was talking about artichoke dance. So they have been doing work about the environment, especially about the Gowanus River in Brooklyn, because that was considered one of the most polluted rivers.
Mm-hmm.
And they are working with different organizations. I'm trying to remember the names, 360, I think, and also the yeah I think it's Friends of the River. I forgot the name, but with different organizations through all these years to make visible that. So their
Mm-hmm.
work is actually yes, to make visible the actions of They are not, they are just partners for different projects. It's not that they are the face of these organizations, but by doing that, they continue, being true to their mission. And I know that Lynn, she's an activist and artistic director at the same time, So I think somebody coined the word artivist, right? To just say how um, we as artists are, connect with that kind of uh, goal
Mm-hmm.
of make the art something bigger, even than itself. So that's New York. In Peru also we had two different site leaders who were also I mean almost in every location, not every location, but almost in every location there is a site leader who is partnering with an organization, or maybe they are already an organization that is doing that. So in Peru we had in north of Peru, when in the past there used to be not a lot of water, it's always scarce in the coast of Peru, but there used to be systems that will allow to access to water, but not anymore because of the technology. Actually, what is happening is that they are um, taking all the water for the big agriculture. So they were able to gather people from the communities uh, to have like it's called townhouse. I'm thinking the Spanish. Yeah, and to write a paper and to do a petition, and so it's a mix. So within the dance, that is something celebrational. They are also gathering people and say, okay, this is a moment that we can actually take action and talk with our authorities. And that they have been doing this for many years, joining us, um, and now, I mean, this last one also they did another community gathering, and then in Lima too, because of the Nino, El Nino.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of destruction in different beaches, and they gathered people to kind of do a cleanup, and also to call to action, and call the authorities also to to put together community and also the authorities so they can actually work on fixing, and to also to talk about prevention, how to
Mm-hmm.
mitigate that. Um, and then there are many examples like in Flint, and Buffalo also, and I'm looking my notes, in Buffalo, New York, there was a group of Parkinson dancers actually. So we have a site leader over there that has a group of uh, uh, people who joins them, and they dance for the water dances because they discover that in the water that is polluted too, there are some chemicals that could affect and that could be the cause of Parkinson disease. So that dance was very meaningful too, because they were actually people
Yeah.
who were affected by that. So, and just to wrap up, I would like to mention that we have a program that is called the SIF program. It's the Site Impact Fund. And as we saw that there were many people who were doing this, because we have many sites that dance for water, and that are, it's more like celebration, and that's totally good and perfect, and celebrate the beauty of water, moving like water, and that's very healing. But also some sites that I was referring to, um, they want to give a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
and to partner with organizations to do a call to action. So this program, the Side Impact Fund, we try to give funds to those artists who would like to do this kind of work, and and we give them like a little a mini grant uh, for anything that they will yeah, that maybe need um, to do the dance, and also to have a video, to have some support. So we select about 10 from all those that would like to apply for that grant, and we redirect some grants for them. So and that's how also we are able to know a little bit more about them, and to make their work visible.
Yeah, so it's not
Yeah.
just, I mean, some could see these dances as a form of protest, and
Mm-hmm.
that brings about awareness, that brings education. I mean, for one, I did not know about the connection between the chemicals in the water and Parkinson's disease. So if that hadn't happened, or you hadn't talked about it, I wouldn't have known that. So there is the educational aspect, bringing the awareness to
Exactly.
it, but being able to bring the resources to it as well, being able to fund some of these projects, the organizations getting involved, bringing awareness to their mission and their vision. That's really just incredible work, that it goes beyond the presentation aspect, which is what most people see about dance. Oh, it's a performance. That's healing,
Mm-hmm.
that's beautiful, that was a nice experience. But it really seems as if the organization continues to go one step deeper into making a shift, making a change, finding out what support is for that community, from the presentation of the dance to the connection of the organizations. And um I mean, that's really commendable.
Mm-hmm.
It really
Mm-hmm.
is. Like,
Thank you.
thank you all for the work that you are doing. And sorry, I got sidetracked because this is all new information to me, so it's just washing over me, coming in. My thoughts are going in several different places, but to kind of keep us on track here, we were talking about socially engaged dance, and defining this as dance rooted in place, people, and purpose, and how this can help us to reimagine what recovery, advocacy, and creative leadership could look like in today's world. So, can you take a moment to describe what this vision looks like? And I guess maybe more specifically, what's happening now that we wish could be different, or has the potential to be different based on this work?
Hmm. Mm-hmm. Hmm. So there are many layers also in that question.
I do ask. I ask long, big questions.
I was trying to. Um, yes. I think. Yeah. Can you repeat your question again?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like,
Well,
I
let's
had one
simplify it.
idea and then.
Yeah, let's just simplify it to this idea. We're talking about activism. We're talking about awareness. We're
Mm-hmm.
talking about making change. We're talking about this vision that the organization has to create some sort of change. And
Mm-hmm.
so, what is happening now, or how does the organization, what does that vision look like that's different from what we have now? What is our hope?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think also looking back on how it started, it was mostly what you were saying at the beginning, like more like the beauty of dance, and that's actually healing,
Mm-hmm.
about dancing together, because that also gives a sensation of, we are together here, and yeah, and we can actually change the world if we want, because we are here together in order to make things good. Um, and then into also the other part of this spectrum too, that we are always kind of trying to balance in global water dances, the beauty, but also the action, the I think something that Merrily said at some point, I'm trying to remember, is that You it was merely, I think somebody else said it, but you cannot love no, you cannot defend something that you don't love. So you need to love
Mm.
first that in order to defend it. So I think those are the two pillars, I will say, of what we do. So one is the love for dance and for water and for being in community, and the other thing is also to defend that, to
Mm-hmm.
defend dance too, like to give more space and to give more opportunities to dancers and to choreographers to be seen and to be recognized and to continue, to tell them you are not by yourself. You're not, we are all a community. This is a space where you belong. So that sense of belonging, right? It's so important for a person. That's zone zero, right?
Yeah.
and and then the part of, yes, now that you know that this is important, how to defend and how to continue. So that's a little bit where we are going, like trying to maintain those those two things and find what we call a balance.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, how far we can go in this. So that's right now our thing, right? That I was talking also with Lee and with other people in our community that are activists, like how this can be transformed or can be seen as an impactful, something
Mm-hmm.
impactful that is not only like, oh, that's beautiful and we love it, into, oh, this actually is helping to get something. I will say a couple of more examples that I forgot. So we had a dance in Canada, and it was the Shubenacadie, Nova Scotia. So by the time that we were doing global water dances, the community was the Native Canadians were fighting against company who were trying to um, do a work that will damage the river, the always good, the Shubenacadie River, and throwing tons of salt there because of the work that this they actually didn't consult the Mi'kmaq people, who are the people who are there and protect the you know the world and indigenous people and in the land. And so there were many actions that were happening already to stop Alton Gas, I think was it, uh, to stop their actions. And actually, by the time that they were doing global water dances and then that we finished, um, we knew, like, it was probably 4 months later that they were able to stop that action. It was a big thing. So obviously it was not, oh, global water dances, but that was one more thing, one more exposure, and
Yes.
people knew about it because people sometimes they don't know about it. So that was something that was done in front of the river. People would congregate there and they were able to see and how the bodies moved. Also, it was very moving when I watched the video. It was like, oh, it was really beautiful, but at the same time powerful. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what we are, trying to do. And then the other action that we had was in Brazil too, in Porto Alegre. Sibel Sastre, the area of Rio Grande do Sul last year, they had huge water slides, like they had a lot of water and the infrastructure was not ready for that, and they had a
Mm.
lot of damage. So their work was about, they partnered with an organization there that they have already like maybe 6 years of partnership so far. Um, uh, and they were now telling how it's important so to talk about, um, yeah, both resilience but also action, like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
how to and then making a call for to the um, uh, authorities too, because they didn't know, but now all that water that came started also to come with some chemicals, and that
Mm-hmm.
is actually damaging now after a year that they are discovering this. And so they held many meetings too, prior to the actual day of the water dances, and connecting because she's also connected with at the university. They
Mm-hmm.
and so with students, professionals in dance, and also professionals in environmental science came together. So that's a little bit more about, how um, what we would like to also be this movement go to.
Mm-hmm.
And once we don't have to do so much of that, that means that our work is done. We can go back to the beauty.
Yeah, but it really sounds like a force behind, right? Even if the goal is simply visibility, there's still a collective energy that is behind these communities that is showing
Definitely.
support, that is, you use the word resilience, which is one of our main focuses for the podcast this season. And this idea, it seems as if that collective energy that is behind these communities is giving them the push, the urge, the empowerment to keep forward motion, to keep moving forward. And even if it is just shining a light on the work that they're doing, it's broadcasting it. It's broadcasting it. And sometimes these things are really difficult to see. They're really difficult to digest. And so when you show the beauty side of it, this powerful beauty through movement and through the arts, I think it makes their missions more accessible.
Mm-hmm.
It speaks to the humanness, to the humanity, to the empathy of all of us. And it just, like, the
Right.
word I just keep thinking is just empowering. It's just empowering these communities to keep moving forward in such a beautiful way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, definitely. Yeah, all that you say is I feel like when I started, it was around 2015 as their district director. I didn't realize all the ramifications or the how powerful this project could be.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and and now we are, listening to all the communities that they are joining us, and it's like, oh wow! So each one of them is a gem. Like they are, doing a great work, and we're very proud of them. I'm very also, yeah, like thankful for what they are doing,
Mm-hmm.
because that, enhances the work of others too. And that's what we found out in this Zoom sessions that we have, and having this video conferences where they come together and they work in small groups, sharing about um, their experiences, their successes, their uh, some things that maybe are not working, and how you can do it. Oh, I did it like this, and what do you need? So just learning from each other, I feel.
Yeah, it is so
Mhm.
beautiful. So, Vanya, thank you so much for bringing your mission and vision to our audience. This has been such an eye opening and incredible conversation to have. Um, but it is time for us to wrap up our conversation together. And we will conclude with our rapid round. So if I could have you complete these two sentences as fast as you can, but no rush. So, sentence number one, resilience is.
I think it's the capacity of overcome difficulties,
Mm-hmm.
um, by being more adaptable or tough sometimes.
Yeah.
So sometimes flexible, and sometimes, yeah, tough. So it's yeah, the whole
That too is a balancing
management.
act, right? Going back to what you were saying, we're trying to
Yes.
balance these things. That too is a balancing act. And
Hmm.
sentence number two, dance has taught me.
Mm. Yeah, I think dance has taught me to be resilient too. I mean, both self-discipline and to be resilient because sometimes you wake up and your body is not where you would like it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And to work with that, it, 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 it's a gift and an opportunity for growth. And yeah, I mean, has taught me so many things, dance. But I think basically that and it's the same also, about the flexibility, about to be strong. So um, we need both, right? We need
Mm-hmm.
both in this world, for both to stay sane and also to be able to to be living in a community, right? And so sometimes we need to be strong in what we believe, and sometimes also we need to be more flexible and adaptable and being like water, right? And sometimes, yeah, um, yes. So I feel dance has taught me that, and also that I can always go back to my body,
Mm-hmm.
as a resource, uh, as a history, as a that's the path when maybe I feel anxious or I feel stressed or I feel like the world doesn't make sense. If I go back to my body, I know that the truth is there, and um yeah, whatever truth means, but it's like it is what I have.
Yeah,
and that's
it's a body of
and then
knowledge.
everything. Exactly, exactly. And I feel like if everybody will connect to their bodies a little bit more, what a gift. I think that,
Mm-hmm.
the world problems will be easier to solve if we actually go back to our bodies and connect. And I think that's why we do this participatory dance to give an opportunity for people to discover their own movement. Um, and yeah, and I think global water dances is mostly that. I think I never say that before, but the global dance is not a dance that is like stated. It's an also kind of an invitation to do movements that look like this, like a specific water thing, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not like you do a plie and then entendu and then a
Yeah.
jeté, right? Talking
Yeah.
in ballet terms. So it's an invitation for people to move. So that's what I love about this project because it's for everyone. So for people who are highly trained or for people who maybe haven't moved, as like you say, like have maybe they say that they have 2 feet, but everybody can move and we know it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do. Yes.
Yes.
Anya, thank you again so much for joining us. And we'll be sure to put all of the global water dances links in our show notes so that our audience can find access to these videos and learn more about the different areas, the organizations, and the work that you guys are doing. So, again, just thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Vanya and guests, for joining me in this global conversation on the power of dance to shift our community in recovery, advocacy, and creative leadership. How does dance encourage forward motion in your life? We would love to know and connect with you in the comments. Be sure to click the subscribe button and share with a friend or colleague. Leave us a review on Spotify, and your name will be entered into a drawing for Dance Unscripted merch. We know you could have chosen any other platform, but you chose us and you chose dance. And for that, we thank you. A special thank you to the Lamar University Center for Resiliency for making season 1 possible. Dance Unscripted is presented by AIM Dance.